Trump announces Kazakhstan's accession to the Abraham Accords. When many thought the Abraham Accords chapter had ended, Donald Trump decided to reopen the book and write a new page in world history. The announcement that Kazakhstan will join the peace pact with Israel may seem like just another diplomatic news item. But if you look closely, you will see a move that goes far beyond appearances. Because in the global power game, nothing is accidental. Every signature, every handshake is a calculated move, and Trump never makes a move without a greater purpose. While the world is still trying to recover from the crises in the Middle East, Trump re-emerges in the White House as if rearranging the pieces on the board. Kazakhstan's accession is not a symbolic gesture. It's a message, a warning to Russia, China, and Iran that the United States is back at the table where the big decisions are made. And the most curious thing? He does this not by force, but by diplomacy. At a time when so many leaders speak of war, Trump speaks of peace, but a peace with strategy, power, and leadership. What if I told you that this movement could reshape the global balance in the coming years? That the future of the Middle East, and perhaps the West itself, may depend on the success of this new chapter? That's what we're going to talk about today. So leave your comment now, subscribe to the channel and activates the notification bell, because what is happening now could be the beginning of one of the most surprising geopolitical turning points of the century: the return of ambitious diplomacy. Donald Trump has always understood that foreign policy is, above all, a narrative of power. When he climbed the steps of the White House again and announced that Kazakhstan would join the Abraham Accords, he wasn't just sealing another diplomatic pact. He was signaling to the world that the United States was back playing chess on the global chessboard, and that he still holds the key pieces. For Trump, each signature, each meeting, and each public gesture are chapters in a story in which the U.S. reassumes the leading role that, according to him, the country had lost under timid and predictable administrations. Many leaders talk about peace. Few know how to turn it into strategy. Trump has always been one of those rare politicians who mix calculation and spectacle. Kazakhstan's adherence to the Abraham Accords may seem at first glance a symbolic move. After all, the country has maintained relations with Israel for years. But the symbolism, in this case, is precisely the message. It is a reminder that Trump is not just governing. He is writing the sequel to a saga that began in 2020, when he brought Israel closer to Arab nations and redefined the concept of negotiated peace. By reappearing with this announcement, he is not only speaking to the Middle East, but to the entire planet. It's as if he were saying, "I'm back, and American diplomacy has teeth again." The reignite ceremony at the White House, surrounded by Central Asian leaders, is not a detail. It's a carefully constructed stage for a new act of power. And if history teaches us anything, it's that when Trump sets the stage, the political spectacle tends to reverberate beyond the curtains. What comes next could once again shift the axis of international politics. The geopolitical significance of Kazakhstan. To understand the significance of Kazakhstan's entry into the Abraham Accords, one must look beyond the map. Located between Russia, China, and Iran, the country is a rare geopolitical gem, an energy and trade corridor connecting East and West. Trump knows this. He is not merely signing an agreement with a distant ally. He is planting the American flag on terrain where, for decades, Moscow and Beijing have alternated as silent guardians. It is a move that blends diplomacy and geoeconomics, and in the game of nations, whoever controls the center controls the board. Kazakhstan, while maintaining friendly relations with Israel, has always had to balance its steps between major powers. Now, by officially joining the Abraham Accords, it sends a calculated message to the world. It wants to be close to the power that dictates the next rules of global trade, security, and technology. Trump, with his business-oriented view of politics, sees this accession as a showcase, a way to demonstrate that his diplomacy remains capable of attracting partners even in territories considered neutral. It's a modern re-edition of the old Truman Doctrine, but dressed in the pragmatism of Wall Street. Furthermore, there is a powerful symbolic component. By choosing Kazakhstan as the first Muslim-majority country of his second term to join the Abraham Accords, Trump sends a direct message to other Central Asian countries. The path to prosperity passes, once again, through Washington. And, behind the scenes, this rapprochement opens the door to something bigger: the silent struggle for energy routes, uranium control, and 5G technology agreements. Peace, in this case, is merely the packaging for a much more ambitious project. The new race for influence in Central Asia, long forgotten in the headlines, has once again become the stage for a silent dispute between giants. Washington seeks to regain lost ground. Moscow struggles to maintain what remains of its former sphere of influence, and Beijing, with its silk and yuan diplomacy, attempts to transform infrastructure into dependency. It's a game of subtleties. While some speak of cooperation, others build roads, bases, and debt. Trump, with his pragmatic outlook, understood what few leaders have. Whoever controls this region controls the commercial arteries that fuel the 21st century. In this scenario, Kazakhstan is the beating heart of a new power route. Its oil pipelines crisscross the continent, connecting Caspian oil to the open sea, while its borders serve as a natural corridor for Chinese economic expansion. Trump knows that dominance will not come solely through military force, but through influence, through narratives capable of seducing governments and populations. The Abraham Accords, in this sense, are more than peace treaties. They are the diplomatic face of a global repositioning strategy, a bridge built over the abyss left by years of American estrangement. And while Russia struggles to survive its own sanctions, and China balances between ambition and international distrust, Trump is betting on a power that cannot be bought: prestige. He knows that, in regions marked by fragile loyalties, trust is the most valuable currency. By bringing together Central Asian leaders at the White House, the former president offered not only handshakes, he offered a new political horizon. And perhaps, behind the scenes, he is planting the seeds of a network of alliances that could reshape the balance of power in Eurasia in the coming years. The legacy of the Abraham Accords and the new map of peace. When Trump conceived the Abraham Accords, few believed that Arab countries and Israel could sit at the same table. But he transformed the improbable into historical fact. And, like it or not, this feat altered the gears of Middle Eastern politics. 4 years later, the former president is breathing new life into this legacy, with Kazakhstan's entry rekindling hopes for a second wave of accessions. The timing is calculated. While the world watches the ruins of the war in Gaza, Trump presents a discourse of reconstruction, not just of cities, but of alliances. The Abraham Accords were born with a bold promise: to prove that peace and economic interests can coexist, even between nations with histories of conflict. It was a pact that united pragmatism and faith, business and diplomacy. Now, with Kazakhstan on board, the message is clear. The movement hasn't died. It was just waiting for the right political moment to resurface. Trump, with his theatrical and geopolitical instincts, knows how to transform timing into a narrative, that of a leader who, once again, returns American protagonism to the table of international negotiations. However, this legacy faces a baptism of fire. Wounds left by Gaza and tensions with Iran still echo in diplomatic corridors. It's a minefield, where every step needs to be meticulously calculated. But Trump seems willing to take the risk, perhaps knowing that, in world politics, whoever dictates the pace of peace also dictates the course of history. And in the subtext of each new agreement, what's at stake is more than reconciliation between peoples. It's the redrawing of the invisible borders of global power. The chess game of the future: Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Trump's role. No diplomatic move is truly complete without Riyadh entering the scene. Saudi Arabia is the key piece that Trump is trying to move with the patience of a strategist, and the mere mention of a possible agreement between the Saudis and Israel already causes seismic waves in world geopolitics. Prince Mohammed bin Salman knows that any rapprochement with Israel must be accompanied by a counterpart, a concrete path to the creation of a Palestinian state. Trump, in turn, plays with what he knows best: the promise of prosperity. He understands that, on the Middle Eastern chessboard, peace is not imposed, it is negotiated. Meanwhile, Iran watches from a distance, suspicious and uneasy. Each new country that joins the Abraham Accords is, for Tehran, a reminder of isolation. And it is precisely this isolation that Trump is trying to transform into a strategic advantage, attracting Iran's neighbors to orbit under the American umbrella. Kazakhstan, although geographically distant, is a piece that expands the radius of U.S. influence and repositions Washington as an indispensable mediator. Trump is betting on something bigger than treaties. He is betting on a network, a web of agreements, energy, and trade, capable of containing adversaries without firing a single shot. The future of the Abraham Accords will depend, to a large extent, on the balance between faith and pragmatism. Trump seems willing to risk both. If he manages to bring Saudi Arabia into the pact, he will not only reshape the Middle East but also solidify his name among the great architects of modern diplomacy. If he fails, he will at least have made it clear that American power still knows how to reinvent itself. After all, in the world's political chess game, victory is not won by whoever moves the most pieces, but by whoever sees the furthest. And Trump, it seems, is already a few moves ahead. The future of the Abraham Accords and the new power diplomacy. Kazakhstan's announcement may seem like a distant detail in global news, but the truth is that great transformations always begin with subtle movements. When a country decides to change sides or simply change its tone, the tectonic plates of world politics shift. Trump knows this, and perhaps that's why he chose the right moment, when the world is tired of war, instability, and empty promises, to reappear with a proposal that blends faith, economics, and strategy. The question remains: are we witnessing the rebirth of a new global order, or merely the echo of a past that insists on returning? Has American diplomacy returned stronger, or simply more calculating? And most importantly, what might this rapprochement between peoples, cultures, and ideologies mean for the future of world peace? Time will tell. But, if history serves as a guide, every step taken now will shape the destiny of entire generations. And you, what do you think about all this? Do you believe these agreements are the path to peace, or just a new form of global control? Leave your opinion here in the comments, because the debate is only just beginning. And of course, if this content made you reflect, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because in future analyses, we will continue to unravel the inner workings of international politics, where every decision is a piece in the grand chess game of power.